Hello, walkers. Good morning, and welcome to City Walks, where we go on little relaxed travel explorations of various places. My name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide, which I always like to caveat with guide is really kind of a generous term, but I will be taking you on a little ramble today here in where are we? We're in Point of Rocks, guys. This is called Point of Rocks. It's down in Paradise Valley, south of Emigrant, south of Livingston, of course, but north of Gardner. And what a beautiful morning we have. If you haven't subscribed yet to City Walks, I would appreciate you doing that. We do about 2 videos a week, and so subscribe, and that'll help me out, and you'll get hopefully some nice walking videos. And give us a like. And as I always try to tell people, I love getting your comments, so please keep them coming. I've been getting some great comments lately, some additional information to places that I didn't have, some few nicely offered corrections. Look at these rocks, the Point of Rocks here. And some suggestions on where to walk, to do some other videos. Beautiful morning. It's about 9:30 in the morning. Of course, we just had our time change here in the United States, and it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's like 3 degrees Celsius according to my phone, if I remember that. And it is about early November, first third of November. Oh, and I decided to come down here because, well, look at this. I mean, it's just a really nice place to walk. But also, we don't have much wind today. It's really relatively calm. So I thought this was a good opportunity to come down here. I'm going to slip on some gloves here. There's a little bit of breeze. Point of Rocks. Hold on. Point of Rocks is a Montana State Parks fishing access site, and there are several of these along the rivers and various, this river and various other rivers in Montana. This one has a boat ramp. Not all fishing access sites have boat ramps or pit toilets, but this one does. Sorry. And what else can I tell you about this? So this is downriver, but north, because the Yellowstone flows north out of the park here, from a place called Carbella Bridge. It's only a few miles away, and it is south, but upriver from Emigrant. And it's a nice place to come to put in your boat if you want to venture down a little further. If you want to have a float, this is not the most popular float for recreation, but it is a nice place. A lot of fishermen put in here. Oh Lord, I'm having all sorts of issues with my headphones, but we'll get it sorted out. Sorry if my gloves get in the way. I am using my polarizer again, so I'm curious as to how that's going to turn out. Hopefully nice, but you can see these willow bushes here along here. There's a creek, and you can kind of see the sun's pretty bright, but the river's about 20 yards that way. Look how they've redone this. It's so much nicer now than it used to be. It used to be really kind of tight in here, and they've brought in gravel, and they've brought in parking stops, and they've done a really great job. I have to give kudos to Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, who maintains these things and that sort of thing. They've had so much traffic, so much use as the population grows here. It's really hard for them, I think, to keep up with just general maintenance. Use pit toilets. Those things have to be emptied, and sometimes people throw trash in there, which makes them really difficult to empty. So please don't do that. Anyway, kudos to them. They've done a great job here. Here's some info signs about rules. Says it's by the Montana Department of Transportation. Then you've got, it's been adopted by Jeffrey and Jerry Ladewig. Good for you guys, man. No camping, weapons restrictions, some regulations, and clean, drain, dry regulations, or things. They're trying really hard to keep invasive species out of here. That's a really tough deal with the more use, but we're going to go beyond the ramp here, so don't worry. We're actually going to go along a little trail, and then there's a road called Yellowstone Trail that goes up kind of midway that we're going to climb up to and explore up there, and we'll have some awesome views of the river. The wind's starting to pick up a little bit, so hopefully it wasn't a mistake. Come down here. So typically what you'll do is, in this situation, you'll pull around this way and you'll have your boat trailer and you'll pull forward, and you will have, according to good etiquette, have your boat ready to go. You'll back your boat in along here, drop it off, pull it over out of the way as best you can, and then go park your vehicle. Last year at Thanksgiving time, we decided to do and there's a bridge over the river. That's the 89 bridge, and it's over the Yellowstone River, just to be specific. And it's so beautiful down here. It's cold, but beautiful. Anyway, last year we did a polar bear plunge, but we did it down at Mallard's Rest, and the water was really shallow and really icy. We kept having ice bump into our legs, and you had to kind of get down and lay down to be remotely submerged. And it was obviously below freezing and so windy and so cold. But we did it, and it was a fun little thing to do. In 1993, this was made possible by Claude and Vera Hookman. It's a symbol of cooperation and understanding within citizenry. I love that. I love that they put up a sign. Anyway, we thought maybe this year, if we do it, we can come down here and at least have some deep water without too much current. Maybe even have a fire somewhere. But that may or may not happen. We'll see. Oh my gosh, I think I'm in a pinch point here for wind. So we walk up along the river here, and we'll follow this trail, like I said, and you can see some Jersey walls up there, maybe halfway up along the road, and we'll get some nice views. Oh, here's a nice memorial bench. You can see that we've had some snow up high. Had some down low too. There's still a few little traces along the trail here. Okay, so this mountain on the left is called Dome Mountain. It used to be a private ranch known for elk hunting. And a lot of times there'd be, at the base, there's some hay fields, and there'd be elk piled in there. They've done state has bought that area, and now it's a wildlife management area. I believe it's owned by the state. I don't know if you're allowed to hunt in there or if it's it's like a wintering range reserve. But that's what it is. If you ever hear about Dome Mountain, and then the ranch, I think, buildings are kind of over there. And I think they do guided hunting still and cabin rentals. Brr. Oh, but the light down here is fantastic. My wife, at Traveling Mel, if you're interested, she came down here with our son and took some photos and did a little bike riding not too long ago. So you can see down here, this is, I believe, where people have come and they've gone down this little bench to go fishing. The public, well, we're on public land here, but the public access law, river access law, is part of, I believe it's part of the Constitution of the state of Montana. We got a little mucky bit here. And it allows people public access to any historically navigable waterway below the mean high water mark. So, for recreational purposes. So it means you can go fishing as long as you walk along the bank. Oh, there's a breeze. Break in the breeze. Let's listen to the river for a second. Lovely, lovely sound. Now, I was led to believe by Traveling Mel that there was a trail up to this road, but it might just be a scramble, a bit of a scramble. I'm just going to walk up here real quick to show you. I believe this is part of an old railroad line. I'm not entirely sure this is where it ran, but this has been fenced off. You can tell historically it's been a trail. There is of some sort. You can see it extends down there, but this has been marked off as no trespassing. Obviously the signs, Pointed Rocks Ranch, and then there's of course the orange blaze symbol that indicates private property. So we are going to, as I stated at the beginning, find and explore our way up to the road, which is right up here. So it shouldn't be too far. But look at this. We get this awesome view, guys. Oh my gosh. Look at that light. Oh, so beautiful. All right, here we go. I think this is going to be our best bet. If I turn around, I'm sure I'll find an easier route. But this will do for now. Footing's not too bad if I watch where I'm going. Pardon my huffing and puffing. Ooh, a little bird song too. You can see where an old 2-track is down there, a trail. Maybe they have a pipeline going down there. And I'm have been a little surprised over the years at the lack of riverside trail along the Yellowstone. It sure would be really nice to have. Obviously, a lot of the land is privately owned, and those folks are under no obligation to allow access. But it sure would be nice to have a trail of many miles that was publicly accessible. But we do have this lovely road, which is publicly accessible and has some beautiful views, as we're seeing now. And so I think what we're going to do is we're going to walk down here a ways, and then we'll turn around, and instead of going back along the river, we'll go up high and have some nice views and see that part of the road. I think this road would be wonderful for bike riding. If you have a gravel bike or a mountain bike, especially in the summer, it can be, this area can be a little snaky, for lack of a better description, meaning home to rattlesnakes, which, as I've said in the past, are the prairie rattler, which are really not aggressive at all. I hate to use that term for a snake because there's very few snakes that are actually aggressive. But the prairie rattlers are much prefer to not interact with you at all. Sometimes in the spring or the fall, earlier in the fall, when it's been a cool night, you'll see them out on the roads soaking up some sunlight, trying to warm back up, because they are ectothermic or cold-blooded, and they depend on the environment to keep them alive, or their internal temperature is dependent on the ambient temperature. But this time of year, they're all in their hibernaculums, or no longer living. I think we'll just go up to the bend up here so we can see the beginning of Yankee Jim Canyon, then we'll turn around and get some lovely views. The light's actually better heading in the other direction. So we'll take a look at that on the way back. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you're planning on visiting to visit Yellowstone, Montana, or maybe even up in Glacier, Traveling Mel runs a Facebook page to help with planning. So there's a community there of people that'll give you information and help you plan. If you're hoping to go in 2022, it is not too early to start planning. In fact, it's getting on towards a little late if you're looking for reservations. But it should be fine right now. But you want to get on it. Anyway, it's called Yellowstone Glacier Montana Trip Planning. It's on Facebook. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description below. But check it out if you need some resources. I'm going to show you this rock here. Yay, rocks. Look at that. It's like this conglomerate of stones and ash, I guess. I think it dates back to... glove in my mouth. I think it dates back to the volcanic activity in the area. This is beautiful. See the bottomland down in there. One of the things Paradise Valley has a reputation for locally is the deer population. And if you drive along here, especially in the fall and winter, in the evenings or mornings, you really need to be aware of deer crossing the road, because they will do a significant amount of damage at 70 miles an hour, which is the speed limit along most of the road here. And then, of course, the further south you get, south of Yankee Gym, you got to be wary of bison, because they in the winter they'll come out of the park looking for food and some snow-free areas. And talk about an immovable object. You can see how that might be inviting to deer down here. These bottomlands with their grass and willow areas with shelter. A lot of sagebrush, which I don't think whitetail will eat, but I think mule deer will eat from time to time if they get desperate. It's a beautiful smell to it, but man, I wouldn't want to eat it. I think it's pretty harsh on the old system. You can see the snowy crags back there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's clouds of snow blowing off the peaks. I think that might be Electric Peak, but I'm not sure. Let's just go up here a little bit further before we turn around. you can probably guess from the looks of things that even though we're here right next to this river that flows all year round, it's really a dry environment. And the soil is pretty volcanic, and it's a mixture of like volcanic ash and scree, and then cobble from the river, and millennia and millennia of big round cobble. So it's not great soil. The water doesn't stay very long or penetrate particularly deep, or if it does, it goes way down. Really tough on these plants. So we get a lot of sagebrush. I see a couple juniper trees. See a big, looks like a Doug fir up there maybe, in that crag. It's managed to thrive somehow. All right. So the valley that's closest there, it's got light shining on one side. That is where the Yellowstone flows through, and it's referred to as Yankee Jim Canyon. And maybe I'll do a walk up there sometime. This road goes up to Tom Minor, Carbella Bridge, and then eventually at the sort of where those rocks start, a little bit beyond, I think, the road ends, and it becomes a trail, and you can ride your bike or you can hike all the way up to Gardner, I believe. Although I think you have to, I might end up going through Royal Teton Ranch, which is Church Universal Triumphant Land. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. But we are going to turn around here, get even more beauty. Look at those mountains. Oh my gosh. Look at that house up there. That's probably a nice view other than the highway. And we are going to scroll around here. And we're going to head back up and over where we walked before. Oh man, I had a little too much coffee this morning. I think I'm feeling it. A little jittery. Too much coffee, not enough water. I know this is private land over here, and, kudos to them. But I also want to give them kudos. I love this fence. They've used a jackleg fence here instead of a barbed wire fence. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but there's several places where you can see right here where the cross beams, I don't want to attribute too much information, but you see that little trail right there? I don't think that's human made. I think that is wildlife made. And so they've made this so wildlife can get through it and across very easily. And that one of the problems out west here, I'll say challenges, is ranchers need to keep their cows from wandering, so they put up barbed wire fences. I totally understand that. But those barbed wire fences act as barriers to species like pronghorn. Now, elk and deer have no problem with those. They can jump right over them. Pronghorn typically can't, and so they actually go through these things. So if the barbed wire fence or the wire fence isn't constructed in a way that is friendly to those pronghorn, they can't get through, and they can't do these big migrations that they tend to do or want to do for resources. And so there's been an effort in the last decades to help ranchers alter those fences so that the spacing of the wires is friendly to the pronghorn, as well as making often one or two of the wires without barbs. Because when those pronghorn get running, they'll hit those fences and they'll take them out. So it's bad for the rancher, it's bad for the pronghorn, of course. And again, going back to that sign, it's, cooperation among citizenry to accomplish goals. Here's another place. And I don't know, maybe that's just where the fence hasn't been repaired. But it seems like they would be aware of that, given all the signage. And they're either opting not to repair it or creating it like that as it is. Because if you look, I'm sorry to swing you around, here's a place without the middle part, right across from this part that's also wide open. Now that could be caused by the wildlife themselves. I'm so sorry to be swinging you guys around like that. But I like believing that it's intentional, altruistic. It's easy, for me at least, to go down a negative path when looking at things, and I'm trying to make this site and the comment section and my responses relentlessly positive. And I slip up sometimes, but I want it to be a place where people come to explore and have some relaxing walking videos for their treadmill or for their exercise machine, or just to get them out of the house in a different part of the world, at least virtually. And so it's often a choice to do that. Not always, but sometimes. Look at those mountains. Oh, you guys, I talk about positive vibes here. This is so beautiful. I've also been reading about the health benefits of just walking, health benefits of being outside and in nature. And, ideally you'll be out in the woods yourself, but there's also some evidence showing that even watching videos like this are helpful. Of course, I can't cite any sources because I read it on the internet, and I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been in the book that I read, but possibly not. The part about the virtual benefits. Anyway, I'm a little shocked that there's still green grass down in here. It is probably very welcome to deer and elk and other critters that live on grasses and plants. Because this dead stuff doesn't really have a lot of nutrition for the animals. It's the green stuff that really feeds them. I was thinking that it is very quiet here, but then you got these big diesel trucks come through, and their sound really carries. Here's an interesting sign for those of you in warmer climates. It says, saw it in here, it's on the right up here. Chains required when snow-packed or icy. That's for real. Put chains on your tires. Not like big, heavy chains like you'd tow something with, but these kind of lightweight wire chains, or basically yak tracks for your tires. Because you do not want to slip off the road up there. Tell you what. The shadows of the clouds playing across the landscape is pretty neat. We're gonna get a nice view up here. We got a property boundary here, going over to the West Creek Ranch on this side. You even hear that riffle down there. Pardon me. love this light. A little peek down there. Here's some more of that rock. Get a better look at how there's big chunks of rock, like a pyroclast, I think is the term. Somebody's been riding a horse up here. Let me see if I can find a good footprint. Hoof print. Here's one. See it? Very much a part of the culture out here. Still, look at, I love this. This tree, just sort of clinging. I'm gonna take my phone out here. Clinging to that cliff there. I'm gonna take one more picture. Love it. Thanks for your patience. It might be a thumbnail, who knows. There's another tree that hasn't made it for whatever reason. Spire rock here. Don't worry, I'm not going to go over the edge here. That does not look particularly stable. Although, you know, to one extent or another, these rocks have been here for a long time. So, despite erosion, look at that, and weather and time, occasional earthquake. There's a little pull out up here, view area. Take a look. Oh, and I'll get to show you something else. This road isn't accessible from the fishing site. You have to go up a quarter mile, eighth of a mile. You get to see that here. All right, so you can see down there next to the bridge where the road comes in for the fishing access. And off to the left here, you can see the road winding down that way. And then, so we're looking north. On the right is the, there's that bench. And then the Absarka Beartooth Mountains. And the river, of course, flowing north. And around that bend, where the bench sort of is, you get to Chico and Sage Lodge, Old Chico, etc. A couple miles up. weather is making me think of our other travels where we've been over the years. And I was also watching a video from, I think it was Walking Thomas on YouTube, and there was a winter walk from Amsterdam from last year, a couple years ago, and making me want to travel again, and how we spent Christmas in 2016 in near Bad Reichenhall in Germany, right across a creek from Austria. So it's like, I don't know, 20 or 30 minute bus ride from, maybe an hour from Salzburg, Austria. That was a really cool experience for us. And then, we spent a Christmas out on a ranch north of Livingston, house sitting for some friends. And Christmas in Budapest in 2019 with the Christmas markets there. That was pretty epic. Loved it. Anyway, I'm looking forward to being able to travel again. I'm going to take a road trip starting a day or so after Thanksgiving. And my son and I are going to travel back east, and we're going to stop at a bunch of places along the way, do some more walks, get a bank of videos up for you guys, maybe hold us through the winter, and see some other cities, put some more travel in the relaxed travel videos. Look at these colors. I love it. I can't tell. There's sort of midway up there. There's a little crevice up there. And it looks like a nest of some sort. It could be just a plant growing, but it looks like a nest. And I have to think it's either an eagle or it's not big enough for an eagle, so probably a hawk would be my guess. Very cool. Nature is amazing. I think I'm going to go down a little bit further before I cut down. To my right is, I don't know, 20, 40 acres of state land that's part of the access site. And so that is accessible to us. Whereas off to the left is clearly marked no trespassing, private land. And so not accessible to us. You can see why they call this Paradise Valley. Oh, so beautiful. Loving it. Alrighty, we're gonna cut down here. I love the view from up here because you get to see things you might not otherwise see. Like there's a pond down there, or at least a place that holds water in the wetter seasons. No idea it was there. No part of my memory. You can see sort of the fence line indicates the extent of the state land, all the way up to the wooden fence down by the car there. The wooden fence is just to keep people from driving out onto the other part of the property. Love this. I'm going to show you guys some lichen and some of this. It's not cryptobiotic, I think, but it is pretty cool. A lot of little plants there. I did some work for the American Prairie Reserve, and A lot of work for them, actually. And fascinating project. Oh, love it. Those were Hungarian Partridge. Very fun. Startling, but fun. A covey of partridge. Anyway, here's a little path. One of the many things that I've learned from working with them is that you look out here and you have a wide view and you see a few trees, some clumps of grass. It looks pretty desolate and sterile almost. But then you come down here, and I'm going to come in close. I know you guys didn't want to come here for a nature lesson, but you're going to get one. So there's grass, there's this other grass, there's this little bit that could be, I don't know what that is. And there's this, if you get in close, there's kind of mossy stuff and lichens, and there's cactus in here, and it really, and here, sorry, some old elk or deer scat. So you get a lot of actual diversity in there, and this isn't even showing insects because it's too cold right now. If you dive down into the closeness of it, you really start to see a lot of the diversity of life that's in here and the interesting aspects of life. I mean, these plant roots themselves, the prairie plants, they go down 20 feet or more in some cases, and that's where their biomass actually is. And not even talking about the biota in the soil. Really kind of fascinating stuff. And I don't really know that much, but they do something up there that they sort of facetiously call land snorkeling. They bring people in, and just because what you do is you get down and you just get real close to the landscape, to the ground there, and they have people that'll, look at this is kind of cool. A little puffball mushroom right in there, that broken thing. Nope. That's what that is, and those things try and break open, and poof, little puffs of spores that come out. That's how they reproduce. Anyway, so they crawl along, and they have somebody to point out all the different plant species and talk about the interconnectedness of them all, and talk about the insects and the small reptiles and birds and mammals that live out there and have an existence out there. There's some fresh scat there. And it's just really kind of cool. And you wouldn't think driving by at 70 or 80 miles an hour that there's this whole community of species out there with their little evolutionary traits that make them able to survive in that niche. Very, very cool stuff. Even so much as you can see little patches of snow. So the grass creates a shadow, which allows the snow to stay a little bit longer, a little bit easier for it to soak into the soil rather than, transpire? Where it basically evaporates into the air. And so that helps feed that plant, other little plants, and creates a little micro ecosystem in itself. Love it. Then you get a lone juniper. You can see it here, look. So the shadow almost exactly matches the snow, or vice versa. I think that's interesting. And that water means everything in a dry place like out here. Okay, I'm getting off that now. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for joining us, guys. I think we're about done here. Getting back to the car, back to the highway. Beautiful, beautiful morning here in Point of Rocks, Montana, along the Yellowstone River in Paradise Valley. Oh, I love it. Thank you, guys. I'm not sure where my next walk's going to be. Oh, I do know where it's going to be. pretty sure it's going to be down in Zion National Park because we're going to go down there and just for a long weekend and visit with some in-laws. And I think, well, I'm not going to commit to that because I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to walk yet. But it should be kind of a nature walk, and it should be beautiful. Zion's an amazing place, and they had a big flood last year, flash flood that kind of wreaked havoc along the main valley, along the Virgin River there. So I'm interested to see what the results of that are. And maybe I'll take some photos even if I don't walk in that part, and we'll see ya. So keep an eye out for that coming up probably on Monday, or something similar on Monday. Who knows? Anyway, till then, you know what I'm going to say. Keep on stepping, guys. See you soon.